Okay, everybody, welcome to today's Sunday School lesson titled Strong and Courageous. The first thing I want you to do is either open your Bibles and read Joshua chapter 1 or read it with me on the next slide. Okay, hit pause and read this section. I want you to pay attention to how many times strong and courageous is used. You'll see I've highlighted it in yellow here. 3 times on the left, 1 time on the right. So hit pause, read this section, and then hit play again when you're done. Okay, the context of this is that the Israelites have been wandering in the wilderness for years and years, and Moses had been their leader. They had gotten to the edge of the promised land, and then Moses had died. So Joshua was the new leader, and they were dependent on him. They were camped out across the river from the promised land that they were about to enter, but they're going to have to fight their way in. So this entering the promised land had been a long time coming, and they had a brand new leader, but they had opposition between them and God's promise. So 2 questions to think about. How do you think the people felt right then? And how do you think Joshua felt? Because he had not been a leader of this many people before. So if we were in class, we would discuss this, but just think about this and talk amongst yourselves if you've got siblings and see what you think about these 2 questions. Okay, pretty sure that the people felt scared, unsure, lost, nervous, possibly wanted to turn back, because if you studied Exodus and the Israelites' journey through the desert, they wanted to turn back a lot. So this was probably one of those times. Do we feel like this today in the current situation with COVID-19? Do we feel scared, unsure, lost, nervous, want to turn back definitely to how it was before all this mess happened? How is it similar and how is it different? Okay, we know they were scared. We know they were nervous, both the people and Joshua, because if you look back at the text in chapter 1, God was reassuring Joshua by telling him to be strong and courageous. Now, when you read that, a lot of people put those 2 words together, strong and courageous, but they're not the same thing. I looked up the definition of strong in good old Webster's dictionary. Strong means having great muscular strength, physically powerful, morally powerful, having strong character, intellectually powerful. Now, courageous is more of an attitude. It's the attitude of facing or dealing with anything recognized as difficult, dangerous, or painful instead of withdrawing from it. The courage to do what one thinks is right. So, of course, courageous is being fearless or brave. So strong is something that you can change, control yourself. Courageous is an attitude. So those are technically 2 different things. If we can control strength, how do we get strong? Physically, we know that if we exercise, if we eat right, if we get enough rest, then that builds our strength physically. It makes us stronger, able to run faster, lift more, and our physical strength increases. Now, to get strong mentally is the same way, but you exercise your brain. So you learn things, you read, you work puzzles, you take classes, and you build your mental strength. Now, how do you build your spiritual strength? Many of us do that by praying, reading the Bible, Bible study, worship, attending church. Spiritual strength is something sometimes that comes on with age too, age and experience, but young people can be spiritually strong too. Surround yourself with good spiritual people. Think about what goes into your mind. To become physically strong, if you take nutrition and you just turn it into junk food, then that's going to weaken your physical strength. Mentally and spiritually is the same thing. If what you put in your mind and your spirit is junk, then it's going to weaken you mentally and spiritually. So you need to make sure that you're studying the Word and you're praying and taking good things in to make yourself spiritually strong, especially during times when things are especially difficult and you want to become spiritually strong. You want to work on your prayer life. You need to make sure that you shift your life accordingly so that you're not filling trash in and then trying to put prayers out. So be very mindful about what you put into your mind and your body. Okay, how do we get courageous? I just put the movie picture from Courageous up there, because when I typed in images that have to do with Courageous, I got this like a million times. But this movie, if anybody of you saw it, it was a really good movie about a group of men who make up their mind to lead their families and be good representatives for God. So I think being courageous, the first thing you have to do is make up your mind that you're going to be courageous, because you really can't control fear. You're going to feel it. Courage is operating despite the fear. So first you got to make up your mind you're going to be courageous. You're not going to let something get you down. You need to have faith in God, realize that God has your back, that He will be there for you. Another way to get courageous is through experience. The older you get, the more things you go through, the more things God helps you through, the less things scare you. You see some people panic over situations, like what's going on right now. There's some people that are just in a blind panic, not knowing what's going to happen. There are other people who are steady as a rock. And I'd be willing to bet those people that are steady as a rock have been through some things before, and they know that God's going to pull them through it. Now, another way to get courageous is learn from your mistakes. You know, get some experience, learn from mistakes. That's just, that happens to a lot of us without us meaning to learn from our mistakes. But in doing so, we do get more courageous. So name some other ways to be courageous. Okay, question. Can you have one without the other? Here's an example of courage without strength. See Tootsie here on the right. Tootsie looks like a scared little dog. Tootsie actually has great courage. Tootsie does not chase motorcycles. She does not chase cars. She does not chase trucks. She chases 18-wheelers. She goes for the biggest. If a huge piece of farm equipment comes down our road, that's what Tootsie chases. Now, she has all this courage, but can she stop that 18-wheeler? Nope, no strength at all. It's not going to end well. Strength without courage. How many of us know this guy? I'm old enough, I remember when this movie came on TV. The Cowardly Lion had all the strength in the world, but absolutely no courage. So if you've got all the potential and all the strength in the world and no confidence and no courage, you can't get anything done. So God is telling Joshua to be strong and courageous. So what He's telling him in the word strong is to be prepared. This part is on you. Be prepared. Prepare your armies. Prepare your people. Prepare yourself. Prepare your body. This part's on you. Be strong. And then have an attitude of courage. When we play sports, part of being a good sports team is to be prepared, be strong. And the other part is be courageous. Have the confidence that you know you can win the game. When you walk onto the court, you need to know that you have properly prepared. You're in good shape. You can physically do everything you need to do. You have the skills necessary to score the points. And be courageous enough, confident enough to know you're going to do it. As a matter of fact, it's good to be so confident when you walk in that the other team feels it. That's what God was saying to Joshua here. Be strong, prepare, and be courageous. Take that bravery and that confidence because you're about to need it. So note everywhere that I have highlighted be strong and courageous in yellow. This first box, if you'll look at the top, this is God talking to Joshua. Now take a minute and read through this again. This is God telling Joshua what he needs to do, and He tells him 3 times to be strong and courageous in this part right here. The very end, I highlighted, He says, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So He's saying, be strong, be courageous, I have your back. Okay, the next part that I've highlighted in blue, that's Joshua speaking. So he takes the message God gave him, he absorbs it, he turns around and he gives his orders to the people. So the last box over here in orange, this is the people. How do the people receive the orders? Because we know we just lost Moses, and a lot of times people don't respect new leaders. But when Joshua orders them to get ready, we're about to go through the promised land, instead of moaning and complaining, sometimes like, we all do to our leadership, they answered Joshua, "Whatever you've commanded us, we will do. Wherever you send us, we will go. Just as we fully obeyed Moses, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with us, as he was with Moses. Whoever rebels against your word and does not obey it, whatever you may command them will be put to death. Only be strong and courageous." Now, did they hear God tell him that phrase? No. Be strong and courageous is what the people needed from Joshua. They needed him to be prepared. They needed him to be a good leader and have them ready. And they needed him to have an air of courage and show confidence to them. The reason God told Joshua that 3 times on the left is because he knew that's what the people needed. And the people here at the end are admitting, we will follow you if you are this kind of leader. Okay, normally this is the part where we have our discussions, and I love our discussions face to face, but I guess that's not going to happen this week. So think about this, and I want you to write your answers if you can. If you're looking at this on YouTube or Facebook, just comment your questions and answers back to me, and we'll back and forth it that way. But we know that the people needed a leader. Joshua was the leader. God said, take the people across. The people said, we know this is going to be difficult, but we will listen to what you have to say. We will do what you say. Only be strong and courageous. And I think during the difficult time we're having right now, I think that's what we look to as strong and courageous leaders. And that's very important to us. I want us to look, though, at the Bible. I want you to give me an example of another Bible character who had to be strong and courageous. I want you to describe how they got strong and how you think they became courageous. Then I want you to discuss how it's important to be strong and courageous during this uncertain time, and tell me your plan for becoming stronger and braver. Okay, next question. How can you encourage others to be strong and courageous, even if you don't always feel courageous yourself? And then, as I always do on Sunday morning, I want you to tell me about one cool thing that you got to do this week. Okay, and as always, we will close in prayer. Lord, I pray for each and every one of my Sunday school kids that you'll protect them from sickness. Let them not be discouraged during this time, but instead let them use this time to make memories, learn new skills, and draw closer to you. Especially help them all to be strong and courageous. Amen. And I miss you guys very much, and I hope that we can get Sunday school started back as normal very soon.